What up, what up, what up, what up? It's me, L Teddy 27.
What's good tonight? Right about the hood.
Oh, dear God.
I'm already eating a drink. Look, a damn mess. Just a damn mess. No means no, and yes means no.
What up, what up, what up, what up, what up? What's good, people? What's up? It's me, L Teddy 27, and I'm back. I'm back for another review. This is our review for Lovecraft Country, Season 1, Episode 4. It is entitled A History of Violence. Now, I'm not behind this time. I'm getting it out to y'all on time this week. So y'all got to applaud me for that. I got to pat myself on the back for that. Also, after last week's review, I need some help from you all in the comments because I've had some people hit me up back channel. And I'm getting, differing opinions. Some people say they love the fact that I focus on all of the historical things or the literary references and things like that. Some people said they want me to focus more on the plot. And so I'm eventually going to do what I feel is necessary. But give me your comments, your thoughts and comments in the comment section on how you feel about it. I am this episode going to focus more so on the plot and the storyline than I am on giving you all of those hidden nuggets and gems I know from historical references and or literary references. And see how you like that. This review, hopefully by next week, I'll have, figured out what I'm going to do or what you all like. But put that in the comment section. All right, let's get down to it because y'all know there's a lot going on. It's Lovecraft Country. Anyway, so we start off with Montrose at home. Montrose is having a whole mental breakdown, okay? Montrose is dealing with his wife is dead. His brother is dead. He was just kidnapped. So there's the whole unpacking of that psychologically. And there's just a lot going on with Montrose. So he's having this whole mental breakdown. He's looking at pictures. We find out that George left him with the bylaws of the Order of the Ancient Dawn, the bylaws of the Order that Titus Braithwaite founded. So we see him with that. He's been reading it. He's been reading it. So now, come to find out, he decides to burn it. Puts it in a garbage can and burns it. And it made me laugh so hard. It said, it smells like toast. Then we see Christina Braithwaite. She's down in Chicago. And what do we hear playing in the background? Bitch Better Have My Money by Rihanna. Love the nods to the past and the present. Anyway, and like I was saying to somebody, whenever they make modern references or give a nod to modern references, it's always in the form of music and or spoken word. When they do the other more historical references is embedded actually in the plot of the show. So I love how they do that. Anyway, she's driving through Chicago. And then we see she goes to Letty's house. She gets out, baby. They got in chalk on the sidewalk outside of the house, black with an arrow pointing toward the house. Just a mess. Just a damn mess. Anyway, she goes up to the door. Letty opens the door. She tries to come in even before Letty told her she can come in. Because you know white people and their privilege. Boom, pops your face. She can't get in. There's a force field. Apparently, that little spell that the voodoo priestess put on there, where she said she was covering the house with the blood of that sacrificed goat, it worked. Christina can't get her ass in there. So she got to talk from the door. I was glad, too, because she was about to roll right up in that lady house, in that woman's house, without even being asked in. Anyway, she lets her know that she knows all about Dr. Hiram Epstein and everything that's going on. Letty then puts together and figures out that the money came from Christina and not from her mother's inheritance. And she's, and so Christina then lets her know that, Tick came up to the house, not to the house, to the realtor's office and tried to kill her and put a gun to her head and said, oh, keep away from my family. She also kind of let it be known that Tick knew about the money and everything with that as well. So that is not going to make Letty too happy because Letty wanted Tick to tell her that. Anyway, she says she's there for that contraption that I told y'all about last episode, the one that looked like the solar system. It's called an orrery. And the orrery is belonged to Dr. Epstein, and it was supposedly the key that unlocks this time machine that Dr. Epstein had, which can get them to the pages from this book that Titus found that helps them learn the language of Adam. Okay, and remember that's the whole reason how he started and founded the order. And if they can do that, they can probably cast more spells and different things like that. If you remember at the end of the last episode, Christina told Tick that the people with the birthright only get to cast one spell in their life. And so when they cast that spell, you know, you got to make it a good one. But she's like, she wants to be able to cast more spells. Ideally, she wants in this order. She wants to be able to have, and if she can't get in the order because of the bylaws, she wants to be able to have all of the rights and privileges of that order, even if she can't be in said order. Now, we then see Hippolyta. Hippolyta has the orrery. She done took it down to, I guess that's her job, or I think it was her shop or whatever. And she's on the phone with her father, trying to get her father to help her understand what this contraption is and why there are two sons. And, you know, they're working it out because the father is a well-learned man as well. And he's, you know, going over what he knows about solar systems and whatever. So then Dee is there with Bobo. Dee tells her mom, listen, me and Bobo are going to his house to go read comics. Hippolyta says, Bobo, tell your mama to call me, okay? Now, I'm focusing on that. I want to see where they go because we know Bobo is Emmett Till. And I want to see where they go with that. I want to see how they put it back in the storyline again. So I want to see where this goes. I know it's not a major part, but this historical intrigue in me wants to know how they infused this Emmett Till and his mom into this story and how they, you know, piece that together and interweave that into the story. So that's why I made sure I referenced that. Also, another guy that's in the shop says to her, you know, she's talking to him about, because she's off the phone with her dad now. She's talking to him about how she's trying to figure this out. She can't figure it out. It's, you know, she can't figure out the puzzle. And he says, listen, every locked thing has a key. And I'm sure you'll find the key and unlock this whole puzzle. Then we see Letty. She goes to go find Tick. Tick is down to the library. She goes to the library, and that little boy that was sitting there in the library was so cute. You know what I think? I think it was supposed to be like Tick, when Tick was a little boy, how Tick, they said Tick was a nerd and Tick wore the glasses, and he was a little big head nerdy boy that wore glasses. And I think that's what the little boy was supposed to be. You're supposed to see big Tick and what's supposed to be a resemblance of old young Tick. And so Letty comes in all ranting and raving. The little boy's like, shh, hello, we're in the library. So then after that, I love the little boy there. So then she goes on and on. She confronts Tick about the fact that he went over to Christina and did not tell her that Christina is the one who paid for the house. And he tells her that how he couldn't kill Christina because Christina had a spell and she was able to, you know, control him. He couldn't, she wouldn't let him do it because of the spell she had. Anyway, they talk about Christina wanting Tick to help her get her dad killed. So we find out there Christina wanted Tick to kill her father because she knew her father had to take away his spell of invulnerability. And so that would make him vulnerable. She wanted Tick to take him out. So that way, Tick, I believe that what it is she understands that just like she feels like she shouldn't be a part because she's a woman, Tick would feel like he feel like her because him being black and both of them are outcasts and so forth, and they can align together because they have that that in common. Anyway, they also talk about Christina looking for those 2 pages out of this book that will help them figure out the language of Adam. And so, but there were 2 sets of those pages. One set was in Titus Braithwaite's vault. The other set is belongs to Hiram, and I think she believes it's in the Winthrop house, but she knows the other set Hiram had. Now, Tick is trying to figure out a way so that he can figure out the language of Adam. So he's figured out, listen, if I can get to Hiram's vault, not Hiram's vault, to Titus's vault, I probably will be able to get one set of the pages and figure it out so that I can learn how to cast a spell and that can protect you, Letty, and the family. So he's telling her all of this. She tells him, listen, you need to go talk to your father because he may be able to help her. He was like, And because y'all remember how him and his father kind of, you know, fell out and parted ways last episode when he kept talking about Uncle George and the father kind of slammed his hands on the table. Anyway, Tick and Letty go over to Montrose, who's at the bar. Tick asks Montrose to help him. I don't know why you over here following these demons. You need to let it go because this shit is dangerous. So then after that, Tick walks off. Letty goes and continues to talk to Montrose and say, you just going to let him keep chasing his tail, knowing that you know how to help him find this place? And so he reluctantly says, you know what, it's in Boston. I'll help y'all get there. Now, we know Montrose knows all of this because he was reading the bylaws. So then, ooh, that's strong for this earlier today. So then, Christina is in the middle of the street. We see her in the neighborhood by Letty's house playing hide and seek with the kids, with the neighborhood kids. She say she never played before, which I can believe. Anyway, cops come and pick her up and take her down to the station to meet with the captain. Captain Lancaster is there. He confronts Christina in his office and said, "Why the fuck you in my town and didn't give me a heads up that you was coming?" And so he accuses her of trying to take the land that belongs to his lodge. And he was like, "How you gonna try and steal my the land that belongs to my lodge from underneath me?" And she was like, "I don't remember you going through the ritual and becoming a member of the order." And he says to her, "That may be true, but I know you could never become a member of the order. And because women can't be in the order, he don't call her a woman, he calls her the C word. Y'all know what that is." But anyway, they have that whole back and forth, so they don't like each other. They are not here for each other. She says she's just there to get the Ori that unlocks Hiram's time machine. And so they have this whole back and forth. So we know there's going to be some dissonance between the two of them while she's there in Chicago. Then we see Tick and Letty trying to pack old Woody, the car that belonged to Uncle George and Hippolyta, to go to Boston. Montrose comes up and says, "This was my idea. Don't blame me." Hippolyta comes downstairs with D. Apparently, Hippolyta says, "If y'all taking my car, we are going." So Hippolyta was like, "Me and D are going. We're going to see the museum and go to the planetarium." Hold on, y'all. That's what that is. Anyway, sorry, y'all. I saw something and it alarmed me. I've been looking for something. Anyway, y'all know I have all these my antics during my reviews. So then after that, Hippolyta's going. They get ready to leave as Tick is trying to drive off. This dude runs in front of them and says, "Oh, can I come with y'all?" Apparently, that's the same dude that was at the housewarming party. He was over there trying to get a ride to Boston because he's trying to get eventually to Philadelphia, but he says he can cut his trip in half and the money that he got to pay in half if he can get to Boston. So he says, "Can I hitch a ride with y'all?" And Hippolyta was like, "Sure, get on in." And everybody's looking like, "I know you're not inviting this fucker with us on this 15-hour trip." But Hippolyta invites him anyway. After that, hold on, y'all. Make sure I'm at the right place in my notes, y'all. A lot of notes here. Anyway, after that, they go on off. We then see Ruby goes to Marshall Fields. Ruby, remember, she was trying to get a job at Marshall Fields. She had told at the beginning of the last episode, she told Hippolyta from the beginning that, not Hippolyta, she told Letty from the beginning, "Listen, I don't have time to be working with you in your little boarding house. I need to be over here working on getting my resume together so I can go and apply down here to Marshall Fields." She gets down to the Marshall Fields, goes inside the store. See, they done already hired a black lady. The black lady said, "Oh, I just got hired yesterday, and I just applied yesterday was my first day. I got hired on a whim." And so she immediately knows, fuck, they ain't gonna hire no another black person. And she's upset. She's upset. I can't say that I blame her because she knows that they are not gonna have more than one black person on staff. So she's all in her feelings about that. Then we see that the crew done arrived in Boston. They're at this museum, okay? And so the dude who got a ride with them that was at the housewarming party, anyway, his name is Tree. And he tries to hit on Letty again, and he says, "You know why they call me Tree? Because unlike most people, I don't got two legs, I got Tree." So lame. She was like, "Well, I guess I would already know that if we slept with each other back in high school," meaning, yep, Tick told me that you lied to him and told him that we fucked in high school. I was like, oh. Anyway, Hippolyta and D, they go to the planetarium, and Hippolyta tells her all about this story of how when she was back in, when she was a little girl, she had participated in this naming contest where they were asked to name this new comet that they had found and discovered. And she came up and they wanted to, and they used her name, but they wouldn't let her get credit for it because they didn't want a colored girl to be the face behind the new name of this comet. So, and you know, D was like, "Why did you let them do that?" And you know, our mom was like, "It's not like we have a whole lot of choices." So D yells in the whole museum, "My mama named that comet right there," because they were looking at the comet in the planetarium and everything. So then after that, we see Tree comes and he's talking to Tick. So Tree tells Tick, he says, listen, hold on, y'all. He tells Tick, he says, listen, I am not here for you telling Letty that I apparently slept with her. Matter of fact, you all in my business. You need to be worried about your own business. I know you feel some kind of way when I told you that Sammy was back there getting his dick sucked by a dude. And he was like, I don't care. I'm not gay. He was like, you might not be, but I noticed how since you've been gone, your daddy been getting real close to Sammy. And you need to be looking at your daddy. And so then he walks away. And the dad, Montrose, is over there talking to the security guard. You see them shake hands and give, a little bro hug. And so he's just like, and so now Tick is looking at his dad weird, like as if his dad is gay. Child, I ain't worried about that. Anyway, but it was so funny to me. That made me laugh a little bit. Because now he's looking at his dad all crazy. After that, we see that, Montrose comes up to Tick and Montrose tells Tick, hey, I got the security guard to agree to let us in once the museum closes. We'll have about 3 hours. I think it was 2 or 3 hours. And he says, okay. So then Tick, still trying to, figure out what about his day. He's like, how you know him? He's like, he's a friend of the bar. We can trust him. So that is that. We then see Christina. Christina is going somewhere. So I don't know if that's where she's staying, but we saw her drive up somewhere. She gets out the car and goes inside. We see that there are 2 plainclothes officers that's in an unmarked car that's been following her. Captain Lancaster got his eyes on her. So they're there. Who comes out of the place where Christina went in? Pasty White Boy. Pasty White Boy, who we met, during episode 1 and 2 and 3. Pasty White Boy comes out, and Pasty White Boy beats up the 2 police officers and tells them, go and tell your boss that Mrs. Braithwaite does not like to be followed. Bitch. So then after that, they gone on. So next we see Tick, Montrose, and Letty. They're back at the museum. They sneak in just like the security guard told them they could. So the vault is underneath this big statue that I think is a statue of Titus. And so the vault is underneath there. And so Montrose, I guess through his reading, had figured out that if you let the moonlight hit a certain point on the statue, it'll reflect and reflect and reflect and refract and all of that stuff, and it'll point you to the key to how to open this vault. And so he had them turn off the flashlights or whatever, and so that's how they got in. And it was this alligator there. One of the teeth to the alligator was they had to push it to open the vault. So Tick goes down in the vault. There are 3 tunnels. Letty and Montrose come down. They're trying to figure out which tunnel is the right one. They go back and forward. Montrose says, oh, it's going to be this one with the westward bound because that's the last place he went or something like that. Letty says, well, no, I read on the pamphlet that he went to the Caribbean for his first voyage before they opened or something like the museum opened or something like that. And that's the northward tunnel. So Montrose says, well, what year is did it happen? She was like 1810. He was like, that's 3 years before Titus Braithwaite founded the order. So that must be the one. So they go down that one. We then see Ruby at the bar. Baby, Ruby is singing the blues. Ruby is mad, broke down, busted, and disgusted, and upset. She's still commiserating over this whole Marshall Field situation. Ruby, she don't even sound good, okay? So then, she's just singing the blues, singing the blues. She goes to the bar to get a drink. The bartender, Sammy, gay dude who is getting his peen slurped on in an alley. He says, you don't got no more money on your tab. So he brings her a drink. Anyway, she was like, I thought I had no more money. Who paid for it? Pasty White Boy. Pasty White Boy is at the end of the bar. Now, I had already deduced at that point that Pasty White Boy is trying to get with Ruby so he could get in the house. So, but then we're back at the vault. Now, back at the vault, they come to this huge room that looks like a big cave. And there's this old wooden plank. And so they send Letty on the wooden plank first. So they tie this rope around her. And they, he's tying this special knot. And so Letty thinks he learned it in the army. And Montrose is like, no, he learned it from me. And I learned it from my dad. And it's been passed down in our family. Anyway, he makes up this bullshit ass story about how one of his ancestors used to tie it around horses so the horses wouldn't run away, so he didn't get beat or something like that. And he put Juneteenth and all that in the story. Now, I was just as skeptical as Tick because, I mean, Letty believed it. But I was like, wait a minute, y'all last name is Freeman. And even Tick said that once Letty went out on the thing, he was like, you lied to her. Because the Freemans have always been free. They've never been slaves. And I was like, right, that's the reason that their last name is Freeman. You learn that historically, that if you were freed, you're a lot of free slaves, their names were Freeman. So he was like, yeah, the Freeman family was never slaves. He was like, it worked. It got it out there. Anyway, once Letty is on there, she goes and goes and goes. So it turns out to be a booby trap. So they got these blades, the big giant blades that be swinging like a pendulum or whatever. That's there. So they got the time. And so she almost falls. Tick runs out there to get her. He almost falls with her. And so they get their balance. So they've got to make it cross. So they time it and, you know, they run through so they don't get cut by the blade. While Montrose is over there waiting for them on the, back at the start of the plank, he sees that the plank starts disappearing, like disintegrating. And so he yells to Tick. And so Tick comes back to get Montrose and says, you got to jump. So Montrose says, you better fucking catch me. So Montrose jumps and gets on the plank and so forth. And so they get to this door. They, you know, get through the little blade or whatever. They get to this door. And so when they get to this door, there's like little tiles that you have to push. And at the beginning of the episode, we saw Montrose was reading this, was reading the bylaws. And there was this there was this page on there that talked about Adam and Eve and, you know, monsters and stuff like that. And it said Eve fucked, Adam named and Eve fucked, and Montrose, the monsters devoured. You know, some cryptic message like that. But anyway, he used that. That helped him figure out which tiles to push in what order. And so that's how they got in. So they get in there. And so they go in further inside. And there's water down there. And so Tick says, yeah, I read a message when I first came down here about the tide. And he was like, high tide is coming in about, high tide is 3 hours after midnight. So we have less time than we think we have down here. Back down to the bar. Ruby is talking to Pasty White Boy all about how horrible it is being black and how she can get this job in Marshall Fields. And she blames Letty for getting her off focus and her not being able to focus on getting this job. So then after that, she takes him home so he can blow her back out. I noticed on his chest, he had a brand, meaning burn marks. It looked like horns of a ram or something, but he had there was a definite brand across his chest, or burn marks. Back in the vault, Tick confronts Montrose about how he knew all this stuff. And Montrose was like, I read the bylaws. Your Uncle George gave it to me. And he told me to protect the family. And I did that when I burned it. And so Tick was mad at him for burning the bylaws. He was like, I felt like I needed to not open Pandora's box. And I'm tired of you trying to open Pandora's box. So they go back and forth. While they're there, remember the water is still rising. They see this floating body. And Letty says, I swear that's one of my neighbors. Dead bodies. Anyway, they came to an elevator, and Tick tells them, listen, y'all get on the elevator and go up. Let me go down here, and I'll figure out where to find the pages. So Letty kind of goes off. Letty says, you over here acting like you in this by yourself, like you're the only one going through. I've died already. Hello. Your daddy has been kidnapped already. Hello. You are not the only one that has a dog in this fight. You are not the only one going through something. Stop playing with me. So she kind of, you know, runs off and says, we ain't get on no elevator. And so Montrose tells Tick, hey, you might want to go apologize to her. And Tick was like, I don't think it's going to be that easy. He was like, you're probably right. But then he tells him this story about how Montrose says his grandmother used to always tell him, always have you a love song to sing when you make your girl mad, because by the time you finish singing it, she'll be over it. Some story he tells her that's supposed to help him with Letty. Anyway, they find another doorway, and there's an arm trapped in this door, in this little hole in the door. I guess that's how you unlock it. So Tick has to pry this cut off dead arm out of there. And so he puts his arm in there. And you know, the arm, whatever's inside of there cuts him, and his blood comes out. And so I guess what they have to do is they have to check his blood to make sure that his blood is direct bloodline of Titus. So that gets this trap door to open from above them, and a ladder comes down. They go up there. In the room up when they went up the ladder, there's a bunch of dead bodies, and then you see Tick says it's up there. So Tick goes up there. I'm sorry, not Tick. Letty found it. Letty says up here. So Letty finds it. Tick tries to grab the pages, and but the pages were underneath the hand of a dead body. The dead body starts moving and coming back to life, and you know, flesh starts coming back on. It comes back to a full living person, it's a lady with all kinds of markings. And one of the markings I noticed is the marking that they have for the order. Anyway, we find out that this lady comes from the Caribbean. And remember, lady said that Tick went on a voyage to the Caribbean. And Montrose said that was 3 years before he started the order. So apparently, he brought that lady back with him. And he promised her a whole lot of stuff. But anyway, he didn't keep his promises. But then he finally says, well, I'll have you link back up with your family. She kills her family and imprisoned her in that room. And so forth. And so, all of this is being said by the woman in some language. Montrose doesn't understand her. Letty doesn't understand her. But magically, Tick understands her. I don't know how. Maybe y'all could tell me if y'all remember how. I don't know how. Or maybe we'll find out later. So, but the woman, her job was to decipher those pages. And I'm guessing Titus Braithwaite found the pages there in the Caribbean. And so Titus Braithwaite had the lady deciphering or translating the pages. And so once she figured out that Titus wasn't shit and Titus had gooped her, she stopped translating. And that's how she got imprisoned in there. Montrose is like, fuck this shit. Fuck you, bitch. And snatches the pages. At that point, the glass in the room busts open and all the water starts rushing in. So high tide is in full swing. So they start rushing out of there. The four of them, meaning with the chick. So they all swim to the elevator. You know, all of the dramatics. You know, I felt like this was, what's the movie with Harrison Ford? Y'all know what movie I'm talking about. Indiana Jones. I like some Indiana Jones type stuff. So anyway, they make it up with the elevator. So they're on the elevator. Chick opens her mouth to say something and immediately starts screaming so loud it, you know, hurts her ears. And so Tick punches her and knocks her out. Okay. Meanwhile, we see Hippolyta. Next thing we know, we see Hippolyta. Hippolyta and Dee are driving back to Chicago. Apparently, the four people on the elevator found their way back to Chicago without Dee and Hippolyta. So Hippolyta and Dee are in the car driving back to Chicago. And Dee is like, how did they make it back to Chicago without old Woody? You know, Woody is the car. She was like, I don't know. So Dee is looking at this atlas that belonged to Uncle George. So Hippolyta is like, what are you looking at? That's your dad's atlas. And she takes it from Dee and she looks at it. And you know, curiosity killed the cat. So Hippolyta sees it. It's the same map that George was looking at when they went on the trip where George died. And she sees the little line and it's circling Devon County. And she was like, you know what? Screw it. So she turns the car all the way around. And Dee is like, where we're going? She said, we're going to get some answers. So you know she's going over there to Devon County. Bad idea, bad idea. Back in Chicago, Tick is still able to communicate with the chick that came back to life, but not verbally. I guess she's writing stuff down because if she opens her mouth, she's gonna start screaming again. Because now we found out that Hiram put a spell on her and she's a siren. And so now, once she left the room, she can't talk. She becomes a siren. So every time she opens her mouth, she makes that scream. Anyway, now that they have to pay, they got to try and figure them out. Montrose has this long conversation with Tick and said, listen, I'm proud of you. Your mom would have been proud of you. You know, you did your thing back there, so forth and so on. Tick says, all right, Pop. He goes, says, I'm going to bed. He goes upstairs and goes to bed. Next thing you know, Montrose goes to the room where the chick is that came back to life and whispers, I'm sorry in her ear and slits her throat. And it goes off from there. That ending really intrigued me. Really intrigued me. As you can see, Ruby is about to play an integral part in this whole story. Because now, Ruby is connected to Christina Braithwaite now. Through the pasty white boy. I wonder if this is going to also introduce the brother into this series as well. We also see, I keep bringing up the stuff with Emmett Till or Bobo. I want to see how that is interwoven into the storyline. And now y'all know Hippolyta and Dee are in for a rude awakening when they get to Devon County, because y'all know what's waiting for them in Devon County. Child, girl, child. Anyway, this whole thing is getting so much better by the week. I'm so excited for next week's episode. That's all I got for y'all this week. Until then, that's all I got. Thank y'all for coming. Y'all drive safely. I'm out.